All right. That's the last of the grading I need to do over the winter break. Now, what's next on my list of things to do? It's time to start working on the next episode of Dark Souls 3 Let's Talk Lore. Okay, let's just see what's going on in my subscription feed first. Wait, what? Demon Souls goes offline. My post-mortem. They're shutting off the servers? I've got to play Demon Souls.
King Allant XII, by channeling the power of souls, brought unprecedented prosperity to his northern kingdom of Boletaria. That is, until the colorless deep fog swept across the land. Boletaria was cut off from the outside world, and those who dared penetrate the deep fog never returned. But Valorfax of the royal Twin Fangs broke free from the fog and told the world of Boletaria's plight. That the old King Allant had aroused the Old One, the great beast below the Nexus, from its eternal slumber, and that a colorless fog had swept in, unleashing terrible demons. The demons hunt down men and claim their souls. Those who lose their souls also lose their minds. The mad attack the sane, and chaos reigns. Valorfax spoke of the enticing power of the demon souls. Each time a demon claims a human soul, the demon's own soul is invigorated by the life force. And the power of a mature demon soul is beyond human imagination. The legend spread quickly. Mighty warriors were drawn to the accursed land, but none have returned. Bjor of the Twin Fangs, Yurt the Silent Chief, Sage Urbane, Skurver the Wanderer, the Sixth Saint Astraya and her knight Garl Vinland, and Sage Frake the Visionary. The colorless deep fog slowly creeps beyond Boletaria's borders. Humankind faces a slow and steady extinction. The deep fog will eventually swallow all lands near and far. But Boletaria has one final hope. A lone warrior who has braved the baneful fog. Has the land found its savior? Or have the demons found a new slave?
Brave soul who fears not death. I shall guide you. So that you may lull the old one back to slumber.
Where are my gestures? Where are my gestures? We're off to a lovely start, so let's just do this. Hello everyone. This is Aegon of Astora, and welcome to my first ever playthrough of Demon Souls. It is Saturday, December the 9th on the date of recording, and I hope you're all having a fantastic day whenever it is you find yourself watching this. So, yeah, we're playing Demon Souls. I have to my left here an entire page of handwritten notes of things that I want to discuss in this episode by way of introducing the playthrough and the idea behind it. And you should already have an idea of what we're doing here based on the introduction that you've seen. The introduction before all the introductions, that is. And that is, we're going to be playing through Demon Souls and, you know, not only talking about the lore and the mechanics from the perspective of someone who is aware of Demon Souls and knows a bit about Demon Souls, has some fragmentary knowledge of the game and its story. So this is not a blind playthrough, but I have never played the game myself. This is something that I have been planning on doing for a very, very long time now. Pretty much as soon as I started taking this channel seriously, people started asking, have you played Demon Souls? And then when I told them no, they asked when I was going to be playing Demon Souls for the channel. And I had intended to do this, but there was no immediate plans for it. It was just something that I was going to do at some distant time. Until it was announced that the servers are being shut down, which means that even though I'd still be able to play the game, it would be a very different experience. I would never have been able to experience what it's like to play Demon Souls with the online functionality included. This raised an interesting problem, but also a very intriguing possibility for a playthrough. That is, not only as a playthrough where I explore the game for the very first time myself, but also where I interact with each of you. Like, the level of interaction, I'm not going to read nearly as many comments as I do for Let's Talk Lore, simply because this playthrough needs to get done relatively quickly, because I'm doing it for Soulsmith 2017, and because I have a million other things that I need to be doing with my time, so I can't spend the next several months with this playthrough. It needs to be done in more or less the next 2 weeks. But we'll get into that a little bit later on. But for now, I'll just say that we're going to be exploring in this playthrough the idea of Demon Souls as a game that exists in a very odd liminal space. Liminal meaning occupying both sides of a boundary, in such a way that Demon Souls is both a classic game and a more modern games as a service game. It's a hybrid of the two in a very interesting way. It's also the first of the Souls games and a transitionary game between the Kingsfield games on the one hand to the Souls games on the other. It's also Hidetaka Miyazaki's first game, and it's the only Souls game that doesn't have DLC. Every other Souls game has DLC, this one doesn't. There are little things about this game that make it a very liminal game as well, like the fact that it comes with a pretty full and detailed instruction manual. Dark Souls 1, at least on the Xbox 360, came with an instruction manual, but it was a little bit more bare bones, and then by the time Dark Souls 2 came out, there was no instruction manual. So this game has one foot in the past and one foot in the future in a very interesting way that I don't think anyone has really talked about before. So if you're here to see someone explore Demon Souls in a way that's been done before, you shouldn't be here for that. This is to watch someone play Demon Souls really poorly for the first time, because I'm almost certainly to be playing this terribly and missing things and not doing things well. So if you're here expecting a 100% playthrough where skill is on display throughout, you're watching the wrong Demon Souls playthrough. If you want to see that kind of playthrough, I'll leave a link in the video description below to Franz, a German Spy's Demon Souls in Depth, which is the only playthrough of this game I've watched from beginning to end. It's been a while since I've watched it, but the majority of the knowledge that I'll be presenting in this playthrough of the game probably comes from my having watched that series. So I'll leave a link to that series in the video description below in perpetuity for the entirety of the series, that is. So we're going to be exploring this game from, I think, a very interesting angle. We'll be exploring this game in a way that it will no longer exist in a couple of months' time. And I thought that that would open up the floor for some very interesting discussion concerning the nature of games, past and present and future, and where games are going, and some of the ways in which the added online functionality of games can make them tremendously magical and wonderful experiences, but also how this shift towards viewing games as services for which there needs to be perpetual rents paid. That is a little bit more problematic, and something that I think we can really dig deep into, insofar as we can do that in, a 2-week, 3-week long playthrough, however long this is going to take. But yeah, I have a ton of stuff to ramble about. Most notably, I want to talk about how much of a pain in the rear it was to get this playthrough going, in part because of the PS3 and its HDCP, I think it's called, protection, which is so incredibly stupid and poorly implemented. But yeah, I'll rant about that later. For now, we're just going to continue on with the tutorial area, and by continue on, I mean start the tutorial area. I'm playing with just a horrendous controller right now. So just keep that in mind for now, and I will return to that later when I rant about other things. But it's currently, I said it's Saturday the 9th of December, but it's currently 2 in the morning, and I've spent all day setting up to record. So I wanted to, after having spent all day setting up to record and recording the intro or filming the intro, things like that, I wanted to just play Demon Souls. So I think I'm just going to do this one episode today and then pick it up again tomorrow, but we shall see. So things that immediately jump out to me are, well, there's a number of things. First, how on the top right it actually says the area in which we are currently standing, which is the tutorial area. But unlike in any of the other Souls games, and when I say Souls games, I'm including Bloodborne in that, and that's the only time I'm going to say that. So from now on, when I say Souls game, I include Bloodborne in that category. So for all of the Souls games after this one, the tutorial area isn't explicitly identified as such. So it's interesting that, yeah, that's a thing. So this is going to be a developer message, which reads R1 standard attack. Hi, friend. Oh, you're different looking. Okay, so shove is a thing. Are you just going to stand there? Are you just non-aggressive? I suppose so. It feels a lot like Dark Souls 1, which I expected because it looks a lot like Dark Souls 1. But it's going to take me some time to get used to this controller because though I love the PS4 controller, I am not a fan of the dual... Like, the analog sticks just feel so... And maybe it's because I got a crappy refurbished controller. Maybe that's the issue. So, sprint, yeah, we know that. But yeah, it feels a lot like Dark Souls 1. L1 guard. Certainly has a... Well, Dark Souls 1 has a pretty dark atmosphere too, but... Oh yeah, so this one attacks unlike the other one. Whoa. Well struck, friend. I was gonna say, yeah, Dark Souls 1 obviously has a dark atmosphere, but like, the Asylum has a fair bit of light, whereas this is, I think, purposely horror-esque. Target lock release. And yeah, we'll be talking about the games as service versus traditional sort of games that never change, static games, I guess you could call them. In the context of a few games, I've recently been playing both Resident Evil 7 and Gran Turismo Sport. And I think both games offer sort of interesting examples in terms of looking at how online features can either complement a game or consume the game, or subsume the game, in the sense that if there's no online, there's nothing. There are easy examples to pick on in that respect, and I've picked on one in particular, that being Destiny. Probably far more than I should have, but Destiny I find the most interesting case study, I guess you could say, in terms of the major problems with games as services. Most notably in how, player ghosts, you're not going to see that anymore. As of February, we're not going to see that anymore. But yeah, in terms of Destiny, I said I wasn't going to rag on Destiny, and here I am ragging on Destiny already. But Destiny is singularly interesting in the extent to which Bungie sort of actively misleads and coerces its player base in various different ways, and in a manner which I find ethically questionable at best. But yeah, not gonna rag on Destiny, but Gran Turismo Sport is a very, very interesting example of games that, unlike Demon Souls, which will still more or less be the same game without the online functionality, it won't be complemented by the features that we're going to, make full use of wherever possible in this playthrough. But a game like Gran Turismo Sport, the offline mode is such an afterthought that if you ever lose your internet connection or the servers go down, it is a nightmare trying to play a game like that, which has an offline mode. Not a great offline mode, but it has an offline mode. But it's just so bare bones and so poorly designed because the assumption is that the game will be online. But what if it isn't? So yeah, some of the things I'll be rambling about over the course of playing Demon Souls for the very first time, and very poorly at that. But yeah, it is 2 in the morning, so I'll certainly be more rambly than usual, but I'm pretty sure I say that every single time I record, so. My understanding of the tutorial area in this game, fragmentary though it may be, is that I believe we only have one chance at... Oh, are you a friend? No, it's a corpse. Crescent Moongrass. That we only have one chance at the boss. I don't know if that means that if we die, period, we'll just go to the Nexus, but I know that if you die to the boss, you go to the Nexus. So we are going to try our best to kill the boss. A medicinal herb named for the lunar phase recovers a small amount of the user's HP. The effect of moon herbs changes according to the condition they're in. Crescent moon herbs are picked when they are very young. Agate of Guidance, a stone that temporarily radiates light when it comes into contact with air. It is prized as a one-of-a-kind jewel, but with no use in crafting. It is mostly employed simply as a guidepost. Oh, so those are the prism stones. I dropped one in the beginning of the episode trying to figure out how the heck you're supposed to access the gestures. We have an Agate of Souls. So I do plan at some point to do a few fun with definitions here. We're not going to do many, but Agate is one that I should look up. A stone radiant with the light of souls. The color of the light changes according to the souls in the area. It was made by Guri, a friend of Sage Frake, who is known for his magical crafts. Since it is light and easy to handle, it is widely used by travelers. Oh yeah, so the direct hit system is a thing in this game. So I need to be mindful of that, because I was just sort of swinging my weapon, you know, as I normally would, just trying to sort of hit the enemy at an angle. But that is actually rather disadvantageous in this game. So, because if you actually hit, at least ideally, presumably, if you actually hit the weapon against the enemy, then yeah, you'll do more damage. Whereas if, like, you're too close to them, if you're using a weapon like a battle axe with a long hilt, you'll do less damage if you are, you know, sort of right up against them. Whereas in the Dark Souls games, or the Souls games in general, I'm not sure if that applies to Bloodborne, actually, because of the transform attacks. That makes things a little bit different too. So I don't know, I'm rambling already though. As is tradition on this channel, whenever I'm doing a blind playthrough, and yeah, this really isn't a blind playthrough, I'm not calling it that, but my first playthrough of RPG games, I usually name my build Regret, because I'm going to do things that I regret, almost certainly, because it's the first playthrough of the game for me, and I name my characters as such just to remind myself that it's okay, it's not a big deal. You're going to regret things, but that's why, you know, you can just go back and play through the game again. Which, you know, I don't know if I'll have time to do that immediately after finishing this one. I would like to do it at least once more before the servers go offline. Maybe the next time they do an event or something. Return to the Nexus, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of those, but yeah. So that's Regret. And this is the World Tendency. So this is another one of those things that is going to be irrevocably altered or different or completely unavailable. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work. I think that there is still a way that you can manipulate World Tendency. In fact, I think the optimal way is to do it offline if you're trying to, you know, achieve a specific purpose. I could be wrong about that, but something else I'm noticing too, and it's part of the thing I have to rant about later, but I'm seeing some serious ghosting on the text on the screen. This is only being recorded in 720p because that's all this game outputs at, but with the amount of steps I had to take to capture footage for this game, I'm not sure how other people do it, but it was a nightmare for me trying to figure this out. So I apologize in advance if the quality of this playthrough is poor in terms of the visuals, but I did my best, I'll just say that. Okay, options. Oh no! At the default values, at least in the other games, the audio is much too loud and it clips when being recorded with the default settings. So is that it? We don't have camera auto adjust or anything, eh? And I don't think there's any jump in this game. No, there's not a jump in this game, I don't think. Okay, I'm going to assume that use item, okay? The items look completely different. Uh-oh. Oh, we're supposed to jump down. I was expecting like a Taurus demon situation. My understanding of the physics of this game is that the fall damage is much more forgiving, so let's see. Oh yeah, that's like nothing. Oh, that's beautiful. It always looked very floaty to me. And it kind of feels that way too. Yeah. Backstepping and rolling. It is really dark. And I'm assuming it's supposed to be that way, but Oh, how did I miss that? Hi, friend. Okay, I tried to parry that, but I'm assuming because it was a jump attack, that's why it was only a partial. No, that's bad. There we go. Yeah, feels just like Dark Souls. I haven't been able to land a backstab yet, though, which is surprising. Because... let's try with this guy. I guess I was just off, because in Dark Souls 1 it's so easy to do unlocked backstabs. And I tried it with a couple of the earlier enemies, but no luck. What is... oh, it's an archstone. Cool. Oh. Ambush? It's just the one. Alright, we'll try again unlocked backstab on him. Nope. There we go. Alright. That is so cool. Oh! Warp to the new area. Does that take us to the Nexus or to the boss? I was trying to light it like a lamp. But I guess they're not exactly like lamps. The lamps from Bloodborne, that is. Yeah, the other thing I'm excited about in this playthrough is that not only will I from now on be able to capture footage for Demon Souls, which I'm probably not going to do all that often, just given how much of a pain in the rear it is to do. But also, you know, I feel like I will be able to understand all of the other Souls games much, much better, having finally played this one. So, I think that's all there really is here, but let's have a quick look around just to make sure. Yep, I think that's it. So, let's see what's going on with this archstone. That's a little curious, no? Like, it's weird that you just warp to another area. So I guess the warps that they have at, like, the Kiln of the First Flame and going to the DLC in Dark Souls 3 are not without precedent. Because, like, you're still technically in the same area, but you warped somewhere else. Like, it's weird that they couldn't just have, like, a door or something. Or, you know, just have it connect to the rest of the area. My R1 button keeps sticking, and the R2 button is, like, very unresponsive. I should have just spent the extra money and bought everything new, because I had dreadful luck in terms of the used stuff that I got for this playthrough. I guess it could have been worse. Like, the PS3 I got seems to be in perfect condition, so at least there's that, but the controller that came with it, on the other hand, was in not so great shape. That was awful. Well, that's an interesting attack. I was expecting an overhead, but it's vertical. Or horizontal, I should say. It really is dark. Much, like, significantly darker, I think, than Dark Souls. Which is ironic. Because this is Demon Souls, and oh shit, that's a Blue-Eye Knight. I'm led to understand that they're like the Silver or Black Knights from this game. And he's coming right for us. Hi, friend. I've heard a lot about you. I don't know if I can parry him. Either that or I messed up there. You are as scary as my mind imagined you to be. Oh no! You make scary noises too? No, friend, no! I'm getting used to the controls. Give me a second. Oh, this analog stick. Well, I'm just gonna eat some grass here. Let's try this again. There we go. I missed the riposte. I like the design on those enemies a lot. That was so cool. Such cool enemies. Okay, cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what the Red Eye Knights look like. Or if they're just, if they're the same but just with a red eye instead of blue one. I wonder whether or not we might learn anything about the use of red and blue for the eyes in Dark Souls 3, because there's a lot of that in Dark Souls 3. And I'm not sure that I fully understand it beyond, you know, the idea that red equals impurity, or red eyes equals impurity. Wheeled weapon with both hands release, yes. Oh, another one, wow. I was not expecting this. Thankfully, they're not at all that difficult to parry. So that's good. I'm loving this. Like, provided that Shadows Die Twice isn't a Souls game, which I think it will be, but provided that it isn't, this is going to be my last time playing a Souls game for the first time, which is really cool. And sad, but also I'm annoyed because I just charged this gosh darn controller. Also, I'm not sure which model PS3 I have. I think it's the later fat model, not the early fat model, but the later one. But getting to the USB ports on this thing, a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. That was half moon grass, so presumably a little bit stronger than the crescent moon grass. Because yeah, I've only gotten like an hour of battery life out of this controller so far. It was fully charged apparently. Okay, it auto equips just like it did in Dark Souls 1. It was fully charged apparently, but yeah, it only lasted about an hour, so that is really annoying. Did we pick up a bow? We did pick up a bow. But we're still fast rolling, okay. Again, like I said at the start, this is going to be horrendous to watch for some people. So if you're the type of person that gets really annoyed watching someone make virtually no progress in like an entire episode, then this probably isn't the series for you. Yeah, okay. Thank you. Who are we supposed to shoot with a bow here, I wonder? Oh, this friend here. Hi. I'm just gonna kill you with my axe, if you don't mind. Examine corpse. Crescent moongrass, thank you. Unknown soldier's soul. I also have to remember this game is like a Bethesda game too, in that you have equip burden, or inventory burden, I guess. So we're gonna have to make sure we make heavy use of Stockpile Thomas, I think his name is. Okay, there's a fog gate up there, which is interesting. What the heck is this? What is this? Oh no. Oh no. It was you, wasn't it, friend? Why'd you do that? Not nice to be cooking all those people in there. This reminds me of a much more disgusting and direct version of what was happening in the Undead Settlement, where what are they called, the giant guys, the hollow slaves, I think? Hollow manservants. They're carrying around the body parts in those little sort of those bowls, and this seems to be like a body part stew of some sort, which is, yeah, quite nasty, but about what I expected from this game. No, friend, that's not nice. Alright, so I wonder if this is the boss. Can we... There's no jump in this game. Oh, well, I guess there's nothing over there anyway, but let's try anyway. Oh, you can just walk right across. Okay. Oh, maybe that's to demonstrate, like, that there isn't a jump mechanic, but you can still sort of get over things. Because you can sort of, like, repel yourself. Repel's not the right word. Like, throw your body over a small ledge or something. What about this here? Can you do that? No. But you're just supposed to walk into it for that to happen. But yeah, I'm gonna stop blabbing. Let's unequip prism stones. Do not need prism stones equipped. Or Augites of Guidance. Okay, so we only have one half. Gosh. The circle button's so sensitive too. No boss. Trap? Okay, I'm sure in the second area that would be a trap, but I guess not here. It's still explicitly the tutorial, as we're constantly reminded in the upper right. Oh, this has got to be the boss. Because that is a big fog gate. And am I seeing faces? Am I imagining that? Oh yeah, that's definitely the boss. I think I'm imagining that. But the fog gate certainly looks sufficiently creepy. What's it called in this? Just fog. Oh! So is this the only game that actually has a story reason for fog gates? Because I don't know that a reason exists in either Dark Souls or Bloodborne. Colorless deep fog, I think it was called in the intro. Hi, friend. You got a nice axe. I got an axe too. Can we be axe friends? Am I supposed to hit you in the butt and then... Whoa. A nice little spinny attack. Oh. Thankfully I had time to roll, initiate a second roll there. So you're just like the stray demon? It's kind of a long delay on that. Oh no. Oh, get wrecked. Oh, however, the Nexus traps you. You shall remain in this world as a soul forever.
Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. Soul of the lost withdrawn from its vessel. Let strength be granted so the world might be mended. So the world might be mended.
This is the Nexus. It holds together the northern land of Boletaria. Thou canst not exit the Nexus, but each of the 5 archstones will connect it to another.
You have died and the Nexus has trapped your soul. You cannot escape the Nexus. However, by capturing demon souls, you can reclaim your physical body. Nexial Binding. So unlike in the Dark Souls games, where we have the dark sign at the start of it, as soon as we start controlling our character, we have the dark sign on us. In this game, the equivalent being the Nexial Binding is given to us. I don't think given is really the right word for it, but we are bound to the Nexus after we've already controlled the player character, which I think is very interesting. A Nexial Binding, the symbol of those imprisoned in the Nexus. Having this ties you to the Nexus. Even if you lose your physical body, you cannot die, and your soul remains trapped in the Nexus. The Nexial Binding seals the user back to the Nexus upon, or sends the user back to the Nexus upon death, but all souls collected will be lost. I don't know that we want to start exploring the Nexus just yet in this episode. I think what we should do is, I'll just briefly rant about the things I wanted to rant about before we end this episode, and then in the next episode we'll start by exploring the Nexus and talking to all the NPCs, because I'm very intrigued, very, very intrigued, and quite enjoying this thus far, and we've only done the tutorial. But yeah, the rest of this playthrough will probably be just as slow and painful to some of you as this episode was, so I apologize in advance for that. But yeah, I bought a PS3 used, and it came with this controller that, as soon as I looked at it, I was like, oh god, I don't even want to touch that, because it has like a brown gunk caked on basically the entire controller, and anywhere where there's a crack, like there's just brown stuff there. So I'm like, oh no. But you know, I turned on the PS3 and tried it out, and I couldn't even get the controller to charge. It just wasn't working. It was dead on arrival. I thankfully was able to get a $50 partial refund for the controller from the person from whom I bought the PS3, which thankfully otherwise appears to be in decent condition. So then I had to go buy a new controller, and I ended up with this one, which, yeah, is very much not ideal. The analog stick is really, like, busted up, and the triggers are just in awful condition. All the buttons stick, pretty much. And yeah, like, I've never been a big fan of the DualShock 3 or the 6-axis or whatever it's called. I like the PS4 controller. I feel like they did a much better job of making it ergonomic, the handles especially. But this is going to take some getting used to, and I'm probably going to complain about it for the duration of the playthrough. So again, please accept my sincerest apologies in advance for that. So the first thing was the controller. And then there was the fact that when I plugged the PS3 into my capture card, I couldn't get a signal. And I just couldn't understand why, until I remembered that when I first bought my capture card, the HD PVR2 Gaming Edition, that it came with this sort of converter cable set thing, which is meant to accept component cables from the PlayStation 3, and then it's converted into HDMI and then out to the TV. Because the PS3 has the same thing the PS4 does, the HDCP, CHP, whatever it's called. It's basically protection, copyright protection for Blu-ray and other media that you might be watching on your PS3 or PS4. But on the PS4, it includes the option to turn it off, which is great because I don't use my PS4 for any of that. But on the PS3, there exists no such option. Why? Like, it is such a pain. So thankfully, I kept the converter cable thing. So I dug it up, but then I realized I didn't have HD component cables for the PS3. So I went to EB Games, I got this horrendous controller refurbished, and the analog is messed up, all the buttons stick. It's just not a good controller. Certainly not a well refurbished one, which isn't terribly surprising given, you know, EB Games, because I couldn't find a new PS3 controller anywhere. And again, I probably should have just bought everything new from the start, and that would have saved me such a headache, I think. Because when I asked whether they had HD component cables for the PS3, they didn't, of course. So I went to a couple other stores and they didn't either. So I had to order aftermarket HD component cables for the PS3 from Amazon. But they're combo cables, so they're for the PS2 and the PS3. And I don't know if that's why I'm seeing ghosting on the text here, but the listing itself was really confusing because it says simultaneously that you get great HD display for your PS3 games with 480p. But it's like, what? Do you mean 720p or 1080i? Yeah, so long story short, it took me, I think, about a week and a half to get this playthrough going, just because at every step there was something wrong, and then I had to wait for something else or go out and get something else to make all of this work. And now the mess of wires behind my sort of entertainment center / desk is, oh my gosh. My cable management game is not very strong at all, and I'm just so overwhelmed even thinking about unhooking everything and trying to come up with something better for this. But yeah, it's a mess of HDMI cables because I have so many consoles and the capture card, my PC, and all that stuff hooked up. But yeah, I need to figure something else for that. But yeah, I wanted to do something this year for Soulsmith. The last 2 years I've released videos on what I call Soulsmith for the holidays in December. And I wanted to do something this year. I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I was going to just work on a episode of Dark Souls 3 Let's Talk Lore so that, I could have it out around Christmas. But with the news that the servers were being shut down in this game, I had to do something, I had to prioritize this sort of playthrough. I thought it was very important that I put Dark Souls 3 Let's Talk Lore on hold for now so that we could do this playthrough. And it also helpfully fills that Soulsmith void, as it were, which I was going to fill with Dark Souls 3 Let's Talk Lore, but I think that this will be a pretty good surprise for everyone, or at least I hope so. I've rambled on enough. My recording is almost at an hour. I'm going to try and keep all of these episodes under an hour. We'll see how well that goes. But yeah, thank you all very, very much for joining me. And why? How are you supposed to? Is it the PS button? Nope. Nope. Oh no, what did I do here? Back to game screen. I'm such a noob when it comes to this. So they really expect you to use the 6-axis for this, eh? But let's see if we can... Oh! Yeah, bye-bye. Okay. How did I pull that up? I'm just sitting here shaking my controller like a jackass. Okay, let's try this again. I'm going to try this again. So, thank you all very, very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.